Hello everybody and welcome back to another video by Farmland Tutorials. So for the past few weeks we have been talking about mathematics, and so to sort of change the scenario or change the mode, today's topic is an economics topic. So what we'll be doing today is we'll be trying to analyze how taxation can act as a countermeasure for negative externalities in microeconomics. Now let's first think about negative externalities in economics diagrammatically. So what do we view negative externalities as? Let's look at that diagrammatically. So let's say I am a producer and I produce let's say I produce something which involves pollution. So what do I produce? Okay, let's say I produce a quantity Q, and the problem with the production of this quantity, the problem with the production of this good is that it entails a certain amount of pollution. So there's some amount of pollution involved. So there are different products that involve some amount of pollution. So there are instances of water pollution. You know, some factories, they dump their chemical effluents in nearby water bodies. Then there are factories which emit poisonous fumes and smokes from chimneys. There are brick, especially if you visit brick factories. Brick factories are pretty popular for having very big chimneys which produce a lot of toxic fumes that generally cause air pollution. Then there are factories which have a lot of sound. They produce a lot of noise, and that also results in noise pollution. So let's say that the product that I produce, that entails a lot of pollution. So essentially this concept of pollution is a pretty good example of negative externalities. So I am producing something and I am creating pollution in addition to what I'm producing, and somebody else, people who live around, live beside my factories, live around my factories, in the locality of my industry, they are the ones who are paying the price of pollution. They are facing health hazards. They are facing respiratory problems. So they are the ones who are being negatively affected, adversely affected by the pollution that I am creating, the pollution that I am making. So let's say this is a sort of production process that I am involved in, and let's say that this is the price of the good that I make. Okay, so that's the per unit cost and every other cost of production. So this also includes the marginal cost. If you remember, the marginal cost of production actually gives me the supply curve. So now let's say that the marginal cost of production, that is an upward sloping straight line. So let's say that my marginal cost of production is something like this. Okay, so that's my marginal cost of production. So let's say that is, if I want it to follow the same colors, so let's say that is my marginal cost. Okay, so that is my marginal cost, and again the marginal cost is actually the supply curve, right? So that's something that we need to remember. So that's the marginal cost. Now the thing about this marginal cost is, what is this marginal cost? This marginal cost is essentially the amount of cost that I incur for an additional unit of production. That is where the term marginal comes from. It's marginal, so it's at the margin, per unit addition. So say for example, if my cost function is q square, let's say my cost function is q square by 2. So if my cost function is q square by 2, if I want to write that down below to keep space for my diagram, so let me write that down here. So my cost function is something like this. So that is my cost function, C equal to q square by 2. Okay, you'll know why q square by 2 is the function that I've taken and not q square. So this is the cost function. So this is the cost function. So if I produce 5 units of a product, I incur a cost of 5 square by 2, that's 25 by 2, so that's 24, so it's 12.5 units. So for producing 5 units of quantity, I get I incur a cost of 25 by 2, that's 12.5, right? And if I want to produce an additional amount, so let's say if I want to produce 6 units, so that's 36 by 2, so that's 80. Okay, so that is where the marginal cost comes. So what is the marginal cost? The marginal cost is 18 minus 12.5, so that's 5.5, right? So that's 5.5. Essentially that means in order to increase my production from 5 units to 6 units, I am incurring a cost of 5.5 rupees, or 5.5 units of money basically. So now using calculus, my marginal cost is actually DC by DC dQ, right? So essentially that boils down to DC dQ is Q. So that's 2Q by Q, so that's Q. So marginal cost is Q, so that is the function that I have here, right? It's not to scale, it should have been a 45-degree line. So let's say that I have expressed the axis, or if you want I can just yeah, it's going to be somewhat like this. So let's say that is my marginal cost curve. Now the thing is, this marginal cost, this only represents the private marginal cost. So I'm going to call this marginal cost private. Where is the private part in it, right? Why am I calling this private? So the thing with this marginal cost is that this reflects only the private cost incurred by me and only me, and not the excess amount of pollution that I'm creating. So when I am producing one more unit, when I'm moving from 5 units to 6 units, I am incurring a marginal cost of 5.5 units, but I'm also producing more pollution, right? That pollution is giving rise to more health hazards. That is also creating some amount of cost in the form of medical bills. Where is that cost involved in? Where does that cost feature? So there should be some more costs involved. So what the truth is that there is another cost curve which does not feature in the normal market, and that is called the marginal cost public, right? So we have something like this. This is the marginal cost. Okay, let's do it this way. So if I want to select this line, so let's say let's keep it here. So I'll tell you why it's below it. This marginal cost public, this can be below the MC private or above the MC private. So this is the marginal cost public, right? Or this is the social cost. So marginal cost public, this is also called the social cost. So I'm going to write that down over here. So this is also called the social cost. The social cost of pollution, so to say. Social cost of pollution. Now what happens is, so if I use let's say if I have a black line, I can't seem to find any, yeah. So let's say I want to produce this much amount of quantity. So let me make that a little thinner. So let's say I want to make this much amount of quantity. Okay, so I want to make this much amount of quantity. I want to produce basically this much amount of quantity. In that case, if I want to produce this much amount of quantity, this is the cost, the social cost of pollution for every like the marginal social cost of pollution, and this is the marginal private cost, right? So if I want to produce one more unit of production when I am already producing Q dashed amount, say, then I have to incur this much amount of social cost of pollution, which I do not essentially incur, so to say. It's something that the society incurs as a whole in terms of medical expenses and all other stuff. And this is the portion that I personally incur as a producer. I pay this amount to produce that much amount of quantity. So what is the total amount of cost that the society incurs? What is that? So what we do is we do a vertical summation, so to say. So essentially, say at this quantity I add this height and I add this height. So what I end up with is sort of something like this. So let me draw a curve. It will be a pretty steep curve, which actually shows the fact that productions that involve a lot of pollution are costly to the society. So this is the social marginal cost. So that's the marginal cost. Let me change the color. So that's marginal cost, social. Why is this the social marginal cost? Because it takes into account both the public marginal cost, which is the cost of pollution and the cost of health hazards to the society, and the private marginal cost, which is the private cost that I as a producer incur. So for example, what is this height? What is this height? This height is essentially the vertical summation, if I can actually get this line to be straight. So if I want to draw a purple line over here, or maybe a black line, what I intend to say is, say this is a quantity that I want to produce. What this purple line suggests is that this distance is the summation of this red line, this red distance, and this blue distance. So I am adding this part and this part to get this height. Okay, right. So essentially I am sort of adding, if I want to highlight it, I'm trying to make this as easy as possible. So I am adding this height. So I have this height, and what I do is I add this height to it, right? So this height, this highlighted portion, I draw again above the red line. So I draw this part again above the red line. So what I get is this purple straight line. So what happens is I end up with the marginal social cost of production. Now that is the manifestation of negative externalities in terms of pollution in the market. So what happens is, this marginal cost, the private marginal cost, features in the regular market transactions, but this public marginal cost does not feature in the market transactions. So this part is left out, which is why the producers are not aware of this purple line. They are only aware of the red line. And so what they do is, if I have the demand curve, so say this is the demand curve that I have, this is the demand curve, this is the market demand curve, the simple market demand curve. What happens is, if I use a black line, what happens is, the producers are not aware of the purple curve. What they should have done is, they should have used the purple demand curve, purple supply curve, or the purple marginal cost curve. What they do is, they use this point. They call this their equilibrium point. So they call this their equilibrium point. They charge this much amount. So this is P private, and this is Q. So this is Q private. So this is Q private. So this is what they end up behaving in the market. So they are not aware of the purple line, the marginal social cost curve, the social marginal cost curve, and they end up operating at the point E, and they charge a price PR for the quantity produced, QPR. What happens as a result is, this is inefficient. So the point E is inefficient. So the point E is inefficient. Why is it inefficient? Why is it not efficient? The reason is that, if I consider the society as a whole, the society faces a lot of pollution. So essentially they incur an additional cost, right? And in order to equate the cost and benefit, so using the cost and benefit analysis, this much of production is not efficient. This much of production should not be supported by the society. It should be much less. How less should it be? Instead of equating private marginal cost to demand, I should invest the social marginal cost to demand. So this should have been the point where an efficient producer should have operated. They would have charged way higher because this production involves a lot of pollution, so it's not good for the society. So they should have charged it much higher, because it is detrimental to the society. So they should have charged way higher, and they should have produced way lower. That would have been efficient, because since it produces a lot of pollution, since there's a lot of negative externalities involved, this should have been what an efficient producer does. They should have charged a higher price, and they should have produced a lower quantity. That is what should have been done. But because profit maximizing producers are not aware of the public marginal cost, hence they are not aware of the social marginal cost curve, they do not know the existence of point E star, and they cannot operate on the point E star, and what they do is they end up producing way more production than what is efficient, and they charge a much less price than what is efficient, and that is what leads to market inefficiencies in the presence of negative externalities. So we know that negative externalities or positive externalities, they create market inefficiencies, which is sort of the reason why sometimes markets are deemed to be inefficient and government interventions are necessary. So this is a prime situation of where government intervention is necessary to shift the economy from E to E star and make the society much more efficient in terms of production. So how does the government exactly do that? How does the government shift the economy or the producer from E to the point E star? So that is what we'll be finding out next.